night at 8 on Nancy Grace.
Witnesses sworn in and take the stand in the trial of Top Mom Casey Anthony. We are live in Orlando.
Tomorrow night at 8 on HLN.
She spins tales, which I didn't know at the time were tales, but all these crazy stories about all this stuff. She also made up a story about her parents, her dad cheating on her mom.
This is going to be the point where you stop all the lies and you stop all the fibs and you tell us exactly what's going on.
We need to have something to go on. Mom, I don't have anything. I'm sorry.
I know, and you know, that everything you told me is a lie, correct?
Not everything that I told you.
Not a bit of useful information has been provided by Ms. Anthony as to the whereabouts of her daughter. I would point out that the truth and Ms. Anthony are strangers.
Is there anything about this story that you're telling me that is untrue? Or is there anything that you want to change or divert from what you've already told me?
No, sir.
How frustrating. Tonight, Casey Anthony's endless lies, and the jury is hearing tapes of investigators banging their heads against the wall, trying to rationalize with her to get something like the truth out of her. Listen to this.
We need to find Kaylee. I understand that right now, Kaylee may not be in very good shape. You understand what I'm saying? She may not be the way we or the way your family last remembers her. We need to find out from you where Kaylee is. This right now is this is going so far downhill, and this has become such a mess that we need to end it. It's very simple. We just need to end it.
I agree with you. I have no clue where she is.
Sure you do.
If I knew in any sense where she was, this wouldn't have happened at all.
Mark Eiglar's defense attorney, I can just imagine how frustrated these detectives must have been knowing this little girl was out there somewhere. Is this an uncommon scenario that detectives have to beat themselves against, beat their heads against the wall to get something out of the person they're interrogating?
It's not uncommon in those who have records dating back to the disco crisis. They're the ones, the career criminals, who lie, they stonewall, and they go right into jail knowing that that's the best defense. Keep your mouth shut, and then the fish doesn't get caught. She surprises me. It's amazing how not only did she lie, but that when confronted with her lie, she lied about lying.
It really is. It's almost, if it weren't so tragic, it'd be comical. So Pat Brown, profile, I want to go to you. You said that you think she's a psychopath, right?
Absolutely.
And so my question is, why isn't the prosecution building a case like that? Because psychopaths have sort of a lifelong pattern, do they not? And tell us about that.
Exactly. The psychopath usually shows up actually about the time you're 5, 6, 7 years old. It's quite frightening. And from that point on, you can't do much about it because they've already learned to manipulate everybody. They already have gotten people into a category. You're either useful, you're in the way, you're just an object. They could care less about anybody else at all. So everything that they do has to do with making themselves feel good and having an amusing time, whatever they think is necessary. So yes, I think the prosecution should be batting home this thing. This woman is a psychopath. That's why she could cold-bloodedly chloroform her daughter, put tape around her face and watch her die, then package her up, put a little heart on and say, ha-ha, throw her out there in the, in her little animal burial ground, and they'll go out and party because she was finished with Kaylee. She was no longer useful to her. She was getting in her way. That's a psychopath. And then she would lie about everything because no matter how much you cajole her or encourage her to tell the truth, she doesn't want to do it because she doesn't care about anybody else but Casey. And they should be pushing that home.
Well, I'm surprised, but they're not really showing evidence of things like harming animals or being, aggressive towards their peers. But let me just ask another question, though.
That's kind of overdone in mythology. Serial killers, quite a few of them have actually killed animals or set fires. That little that kind of thing. Bedwetting that's a little trio of things they talk about. That's because when you're little, the only places you can get some kind of power is in your home, when in the bed as a child. And then you can't go out and kill people yet, so you grab the neighborhood animals and you can burn down your neighbor's shed. It's really easy. So that's where you get your power and control. And then you go out to people. She's not a serial killer at this point, at least. She just manipulates people and gets rid of people that are in her way. So it's kind of a different thing.
All right, let's do a little more profiling on people that lie. Are there any other sort of theoretical possibilities here other than psychopathy from your standpoint?
Not with Casey Anthony. Now, we've seen that from the other Anthonys. I think the other Anthonys haven't told the truth. They've obstructed the investigation, and that can be caused by, that can be a defense, it can be fear, it can be a narcissistic personality disorder. In other words, all of us will lie under a circumstance or under a few circumstances, either to protect someone or protect ourselves. But when you get to Casey's level, that's just psychopathic lying. She actually enjoys lying because she likes to watch everybody squirm and not be able to figure out what to do with her, and it's fun for her. So that's one of the reasons she does it, because she can get away with it.
Ryan, I see you trying to jump in. Go ahead.
Yeah, because Dr. Drew, when we see Casey in court, we get kind of a conflicted picture. On these tapes, she is saying, I want to find Kaylee. I'll do anything I can to find Kaylee. Let me help you find Kaylee. But what I found really stunning was the way she describes Zanny the nanny. Now, at this point, we know that Zanny never existed, but she describes her parents, her eye color, even the fact that her sister goes to college in Florida and what she's studying. She has such a level of detail when she talks about this fictional Zanny the nanny, that it's just stunning. You almost believe her as she's saying it. And she just keeps adjusting the details as she goes forward. It's really unbelievable to see.
It is, and like I've said, I've been in the room with patients like that where you start doubting yourself. You start going, well, wait a minute. The conviction with which they lie makes you start to believe it yourself, and you start thinking they do believe it. And I got to say, I've seen patients with certain kind of brain disorders and certain kind of personality disorders do that kind of lying who aren't murderers. So they still have to make the case, do they not, Mark, that this is connect her to the actual death of the child.
Absolutely. That's the greatest challenge for them, is to prove that it was first-degree murder. I disagree with what you and Pat were talking about earlier, that maybe the prosecution should bring in that she's a sociopath, a psychopath, suffers from lionitis, whatever it is. They have a tough enough burden as it is. To start getting into what's in her mind, the abstract, motive, that's too much. They don't have to take on that burden, and they shouldn't.
All right, Ryan, where is this going today? How's this day going to end up for us?
Well, today so far, I mean, what you're seeing are the jailhouse tapes. They may continue with that tomorrow, but the key for the prosecution is to continue to show the lies. They're going to keep going through the timeline, but what they want to show the jury is at every stage, Casey Anthony was saying she wanted to find Kaylee, but really at every stage, there was always a lie, always something that didn't make sense, and that's the way they're going to use their circumstantial evidence in here. Because if you think Casey is lying, the jury will say to themselves, well, she's saying it was an accident, but where do the lies end? And where does the truth begin in this case?
Well, that's the constant affair. For me, that's what's becoming so fascinating. That's why I can't, stop reading the interrogation transcripts. Thank you to my panel. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Ryan. Coming up, we're going to take some of your questions and comments on the case. And I want you all to remember that ultimately this is about finding justice for an innocent little girl. I want you to listen to her singing "You Are My Sunshine." This is the person that really suffered the most here.